ओके। आप सुनाई दे रही है मेरी आवाज़?
हाँ सर, आपकी वॉइस आ रही है।
ठीक है। क्योंकि मैंने उसका प्रेजेंटेशन भी शेयर कर लिया, इसलिए ये दिखाई दे रहा है प्रेजेंटेशन, पीपीटी दिखाई दे रहा है करंट अफेयर्स का? ठीक है। फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम टू दिस special session for discussion on current affairs for the 2020-25 Civil Service Personality Test. I hope all of you have received the current affairs ready reckoner which I have compiled. Is there anybody who has not received it? We have sent soft copy to all the candidates who are joined. राजू जी, सबको मिल गया होगा?
सर अभी नहीं, आज शाम को शेयर कर दूंगी।
आज ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं। वैसे in the current affairs ready reckoner that is running to nearly 300 pages, you will get the entire information you will require for the interview up to the 30th of November 2024. I have updated it up to November 2025, 24, and after that, whatever happens, I expect all of you to go through the newspapers and other current affairs magazines and so on. You can also watch the television channels. So all these things you can do, and I can also help you by issuing monthly bulletins later on. Monthly updates I can share with all of you, but I don't know whether I will be able to find time for that because I will be busy in the interviews, mock interviews. Most of the days I will have to work on that. So depending on the time available, I will try to share monthly news bulletins also with you. But otherwise, all of you are definitely, all of you know how to collect material, and the ready reckoner which you will get, that will give you an idea of what type of material will be required to be collected. Now, today's class is entirely based on the material which is already available in the ready reckoner. And let me start with a brief introduction of current affairs. When you prepare for current affairs, I hope all of you can see it, the major sources of information. Okay, silence means yes. I'll take it that way. So when you are preparing for your civil service interview, don't waste too much time preparing for current affairs alone, because there are many other things which you will have to do. But I have been telling the candidates that I have a very simple formula for the civil service interview. The simple formula, mathematical formula is civil service interview equal to DAF plus current affairs plus situations. DAF is the main thing. The DAF 1 and 2, which 1 you already given, 2 you are in the process of preparation, and you will be submitting it. Some of you might already submitted, some of you will be submitting soon. So the DAF 1 and 2, that is going to occupy major part of your civil service interview. Then there could be about, depending on the situation, assuming that you have not given plenty of material in the DAF for asking questions, then naturally the panel will start asking questions on current affairs. So if your DAF is very, very attractive, it can generate plenty of questions, then the percentage of questions on current affairs will reduce. So that is that can be part of your strategy. Then the third component of interview is the situations. You will be given a situation that is something very similar to your GS4 paper. But it's not only ethics there. It can be administrative situations also. It can be law and order situations. It can be even political dealing with the politicians, dealing with public, or any kind of situation can be given to you, and your response to that, how do you deal with such situation, that will be assessed. So this is roughly the pattern followed by UPSC in the civil service interview. Roughly you can say about 15 to 20% time will be spent on current affairs, but I know there are candidates who have with whom nearly 50% of the total time was spent on current affairs. That is also possible. Anything is possible. Sometimes the percentage of current affairs may be very, very low. It all depends on how much interest you can generate in the early days or early period of the interview. If in the beginning itself you can generate enough interest in yourself, then your interview will be more DAF-based. But if they think that they have assessed you very well, so now let us see how much they are prepared about current affairs and situation. Then they will ask more questions on current affairs, and they may give situations also. Now, as you start your preparation for the civil service interview, as I already mentioned, don't waste too much time. But you have to spend some time updating your information on current affairs. On a day-to-day basis, you have to update yourself. And you should read at least one newspaper every day. But newspaper, don't spend too much time reading it. About 30 to 45 minutes should be more than enough. But put yourself in the examiner's position, that is the panel members' position, and try to visualize questions. Try to imagine questions which can be asked. You after reading one article in the newspaper, one news item in the newspaper, try to ask questions to yourself. What questions can be asked in my civil service interview on this particular news item? And sometimes you will find that you are fairly well prepared. Sometimes you may feel that the question, there can be questions on the background of this story. This is a current story, but there is a background to this story. If they ask me questions on the background of this story, how should I answer? Now, let me take you one small example. You read the news about one nation, one election. It's a very, very, very current affair. I'll be coming to that soon. Now, you read in the newspaper some news item, somebody talking about one nation, one election, criticizing it or supporting it, whatever it is. You read it. Now, you can ask questions to yourself. What type of questions can come in my UPSC interview on one nation, one election? Now, you have plenty of information about one nation, one election. You have collected enough material. But then some panel member may start asking something about the background material. They may go back to the Constitution. They may go to the basic structure of the Constitution. They may talk about federalism, the meaning of federalism. Now, these things you won't get in from the newspaper. For that, you have to do some extra reading. You may have to go to your course materials. You may have to go to your textbooks. You may have to go through some articles. And that is the type of preparation I expect all of you to do while preparing current affairs. It is not merely current affairs. It is making yourself fit for or capable of answering any type of questions which can come based on that current affair. That is what I am going to do in the next 1 hour or so, which we will be spending together. And I can spend more time depending on the type of interest I am able to generate. So we will spend as much time as you want. And now in this session, what I will be doing is I will be selecting some topic But I will expect all of you to think of the possible questions on that topic. Of course, I have a list of questions at the end of the presentation, at the end of each presentation. But as we go along, please think of the possible questions which may come in your mind. And we can make it an interactive session. Please feel free to ask those questions. And it is not necessary that I should answer those questions. The questions can be answered by some other participant. So that is the kind of interaction I expect from you. Let all of us speak, but only one person at a time. So if somebody raises his or her hand, I can allow you to speak, but I don't know whether I will be able to see all of you because the slide is also present. The slide has to be available to us for discussion. So Rajuji or तरुण जी, वन ऑफ यू कैन हेल्प मी। ये आप इसमें से जो जो क्वेश्चंस पूछना चाहते हैं उनका नाम ले लीजिए, तो मैं उनसे उनको मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा कि आप माइक ऑन कर लीजिए और बात कर लीजिए। तो लेट अस ट्राई टू मेक इट एन इंटरेक्शन, बट लेकिन एक वन एट ए टाइम होना चाहिए। So you can collect material from newspapers, but when you read newspapers, spend maximum time on the editorial page and the op-ed page. These two pages are going to be more important for the civil service interview. For answering the questions in the written examination, the other pages may have been very important, but sometimes in the interview, the editorial page and op-ed page are going to be more important. Of course, the first page is always important because sometimes they may ask this question, what was the main title news of today? That kind of questions can also come. So you should go prepared with that. But then a detailed discussion is possible only if you have gone through the editorial page and the op-ed page. Because there, that will give you material for discussion. And the golden rule which I would like all of you to follow in the interview, that please try to make your civil service interview a discussion rather than a question answer session. If you make it a question answer session, then the likelihood of your getting high marks is very, very low. But if it is a discussion, then it is more likely that you will get high marks. So try to make your interview a discussion rather than a question answer session. Because question answer session, it will become something like a information gathering or knowledge testing, which has already been done in the written examination. Now here they are testing your personality. Your personality means you have to be part of the process. You have to be part of the interview session by interacting with the panel members on a one-to-one basis and giving, exposing your personality, rather expressing your personality in very clear terms. That is what is expected from you. And if you can do that, you will get very good marks. So these things I will explain to you further in the group mock, which most of the days online group mock I will be conducting. But in case I am not available, then somebody else would be conducting. And there will be a coach or person also with me. And between the two of us, we will be able to give you a lot of material on how to face the interview. So I don't want to take much time. So I given here a list of material which you can use for the interview. This is exclusively for the interview. Had it been for the written test, there would have been some other material. News magazines, you should subscribe to at least one news magazine during this period. Outlook, but don't go by their viewpoint. They may be politically motivated viewpoints. Don't go by their motivation or their kind of thinking, that you need not be influenced by that. You should have your independent thinking. And in the interview also, your independent thinking will be much more important than you are quoting somebody else's viewpoint. Yojana and Kurukshetra, in case there are some questions about current recent initiatives of the government of India, Yojana and Kurukshetra can help you. But the ready reckoner which I have prepared, that is also almost every important news item, important scheme of government of India is covered in that. Then news channels, do watch BBC or CNN, because there will be questions on international current affairs also. And if PSIR is your optional, definitely you should watch BBC or CNN. But again, my word of caution, don't go by their viewpoint. You should have your independent viewpoint from a purely Indian perspective. Your viewpoint should be from Indian perspective, not from US perspective or the UK perspective. Sansad TV will give you the Indian perspective. And I have found Sansad TV to be the most useful source for the interview. Most important source of analysis. Analyzing issues, Sansad TV is probably the best source you can have. You should, at least for the next few months, you must subscribe to one current affair magazine. I'm sure you are already doing it. Wikipedia you can refer, but don't take Wikipedia for granted. It can give you wrong information also. I have come across several wrong information pieces in Wikipedia. Even while I was preparing the Ready Reckoner, I have referred to Wikipedia and found that some of the news items, some of the information which Wikipedia is giving is not based on facts. And Government of India websites are very, very reliable, but sometimes the Government of India departments are not very good in updating them. So that factor you have to keep in mind. Press Information Bureau, you must visit on a regular basis. Every day, go to the PIB website and see what is new. What new information is there about Government of India? What is the new initiative of Government of India that you must do on a day-to-day basis? PMO's website also not necessarily on a day-to-day basis, but whenever you want information about some national affair, some Government of India scheme, some announcement made by the Prime Minister, then the best source of information is the Prime Minister's office itself. Niti Aayog is a wonderful reservoir of information. So on any development related issue, on federal issues, you can refer to Niti Aayog. PRSindia.org for law related the recent amendments, recent enactments that you can get information from PRS India also. But PRS India also have this problem of not updating their website. So that you have to keep in mind. CPR India for that is Council for Policy Research. So they they have very good analysis of current issues. IDSA for defense related issues, and Indian Canon again for law related issues. So these you can refer, because these are very authentic sources. Now I will give you, I have prepared material for 10 presentations, 10 current affairs topics. I will display it before you, and you can do an online voting and tell me which one you would like to discuss first. I will start my discussion with the subcategorization of SC/ST. That is because as I wait for the information from you, which material, which current affair topic you want me to discuss. First, I will start with the subcategorization, and during this, please feel free to indicate in the this thing, what is it? Your interaction with me can be through the website itself. And tell me which topic you will like me to discuss. So after I finish subcategorization of SCST, I will have a look at the list you have given to me, and then I will select the topics. Okay. Subcategorization of ST, all of you should be well prepared to face questions on this topic, because it is a very, very contemporary topic, very hot topic, very, very controversial topic also. Especially if you are from the reserved category, you should expect plenty of questions on this issue. Article, I hope all of you can read it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Article 16(4) of the Constitution empowers the state to create special provisions for any backward classes it deems underrepresented. See, now the one of the fundamental principles guiding the Constitution is inclusive development. To include every category of persons into the mainstream. That is what the people of India want. That is what the Constitution wants. That is what the government of India wants. So Article 16(4) enables the state to do that. Now, this is, look at the wording used there. Create special provisions for backward classes it deems underrepresented. So if any community is underrepresented today, and tomorrow the government wants to give it a little more representation, Article 16(4) is the enabling clause. Now you cannot challenge that authority of the government because it is given in Article 16(4). Now Article 341 and 342 gave the president the power to specify caste, race, and communities which will be classified as SC, ST under the Constitution. Now 341 deals with the center, 342 deals with states. So now the three types of three categories are there. Castes are there, tribes are there, and the other backward classes. These three categories are there, which are already mentioned in the Article 341 and 342. 341 gives the power to the center, and 342 gives the power to the states. And now these powers you can say that these are not exclusive. If president has notified a particular caste, not specified as particular caste as scheduled caste, that does not mean that the state cannot do it. So state has its own powers given under Article 342. So a state can do it independently. I don't want to have a discussion on Constitution. It is more a discussion on the subcategorization. So I will restrict to that. Some sequence of events which you should understand, we should be familiar with, that I have mentioned here. On 1st August 2024, that is how it became a current affair. On 1st August 2024, the state of Punjab versus Davinder Singh, a 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court upheld the constitutional validity of subclassification in the SC/ST categories. And you are aware that there was a Justice Rohini committee looking into the subcategorization of OBCs. That was already there, and that has submitted its report also. But nobody dared to think about subcategorization of SC/STs, because it was considered that scheduled caste is one block, scheduled tribe is one block. There cannot be any subcategorization in that. That was the earlier thinking. But in the state of Punjab versus Davinder Singh, Supreme Court made it very clear that subclassification of SC and ST is possible. Now, this was decided by not an ordinary bench. It was decided by a 7-judge bench. Why did it go to a 7-judge bench? There is a background to that. Now, this is how you have to build your studies. That when you read something, you have to see why did it happen? What is the background of this? So what is the background of the Supreme Court? Why did it go to a 7-judge bench? Why not a 5-judge bench? 5-judge bench is also a constitutional bench. Or it could have gone to a 3-judge bench or 2-judge bench also. Why did it go to a 7-judge bench? The background is that there was a 5-judge bench decision in E.V. Chinnaya versus State of Andhra Pradesh in 2004. Now, a decision was taken in that by the constitutional 5-judge bench. Now, a decision which was taken by a 5-judge bench can be overruled only by a higher bench. And Supreme Court always constitutes odd number benches, because if there is a split of verdict, then one group should prevail. So there has to be an odd number. So after 5, it has to be 7, then 9, 11, 13, 15, like that. It cannot be a 8-judge bench. That's not possible. After 2, no even number is possible. Now, what did Chennaya case do? What was the decision in Chinnaya case? That I'll be talking about it, but not specifically, but you can look at that also separately. It was there in an earlier ready reckoner. I not repeated it here. You may find it in my ready reckoner. If it is not there, you can always call me and I can give you. But otherwise, you just search for E.V. Chinnaya versus State of Andhra Pradesh, you will get the material. When in the 1st August 2024, in the Devinder Singh case, Supreme Court gave a number of decisions. Article 14 permits, that is the decision of the Supreme Court, that it said that Article 14 permits subclassification within the reserved categories as it recognizes SC, ST and OBCs as a backward class of citizens. Now, when you declare a particular category as a backward class, then within that backward class, there can be more backward class and less backward class. Everybody cannot be equal. So if we know that this is the particular category, but in that category itself, everybody is not equal. So there has to be a differentiation. How do we do that differentiation? That differentiation is possible only by a subcategorization. That is the argument given by the Supreme Court in the Devinder Singh case. Equality does not mean that the same law should apply to everyone, but that the same law should apply to those who are similarly situated. Now, this is a norm which the Supreme Court has evolved over several years, that equality does not mean equality among a category in a particular category. It means equality among equals. Equality among equals means you cannot compare a category, a particular category, a particular caste, which is already well represented in the bureaucracy or in the educational institutions, with another category, another class or caste, which is much underrepresented, because they are not equal. So you cannot say that they both belong to the same category, so they have to be treated as equals. That is not possible. And that is what the Supreme Court has held this in a number of cases. Supreme Court has ruled it in several occasions that equality can be only among equals. Equal protection of laws enjoins the state within the power to reasonably classify those who are differently placed. Now, once we accept that in this category, not everybody is equal, then, but at the same time, we have to recognize that they are all backward. They are all backward. They all deserve consideration. They all deserve to be given some special status, some special consideration. But within that special consideration, can we give some extra special consideration to one subcategory or not? That is the issue. But that does not mean that everybody has to be, some part of that category has to be taken out. They will not go out. They will continue to enjoy the facilities, but another category which is now underrepresented will get a little more facility, a little more consideration in our scheme of things. The law can further classify a class that is already created by law for a limited purpose if it is heterogeneous for another purpose. You take any category, you take any group, there will be homogeneity and heterogeneity both. They may be homogeneous in the sense that they all belong to the same category, but they are heterogeneous in terms of educational qualification, in terms of social status, in terms of financial status. So in that way, they may be heterogeneous also. So homogeneity and heterogeneity both have to be considered. The test to be followed is that intelligible differentia and rational nexus. The term intelligible differentia means a discernible and understandable distinction. Therefore, a distinction is understandable when a clear criterion of standard exists to differentiate between the group included and those excluded. Now, when you put everybody in the same category, you say that all these communities belong to the scheduled caste category. What does that mean? That means everybody fits into the same scheme. Everybody is equal. It is not possible to differentiate. But Supreme Court says that no, if it is possible to have a distinction, if it is possible to have some criterion to decide the distinction between one group and the other, then the differentiation is possible. So that has to be decided by the existing differences between the two communities. And guidelines can be framed. The Backward Classes Commission or the Scheduled Caste Commission or the Scheduled Tribe Commission can look into those aspects and decide that this particular community is less represented than the other community. That can be done. Rational nexus means to show that there is a clear and rational link between the classification criterion and the intended outcome or goal of the classification. I'm not explaining everything. In case you have any question, you can raise your hand or you can simply unmute yourself and speak. But if you don't speak, that I will assume that you are along with me. You are coming along with me. The judgment highlights that the test to determine whether subclassification within a class is justified under Article 14, it needs to be assessed whether the class is homogeneous. If the answer is no, then subclassification is permissible. In the same category itself, there, as I already mentioned, homogeneity and heterogeneity both can be there. If you feel that it is homogeneous, there is no need for any distinction at all, then don't differentiate. But if you feel that there is some difference between the members of this category, then differentiation is possible. Differentiation or subclassification is possible. In the court in Chennai wrongly held that scheduled castes were a homogeneous group because they were included in the presidential list of 1950. the inclusion in the presidential list does not automatically lead to the formation of a uniform and internally homogeneous class which cannot be further classified. I think I have already explained this, that though the group may appear to be homogeneous, when you have a fresh look at it, you will find that there is heterogeneity. Then further classification is possible. Historical empirical evidence to show that the scheduled castes were a heterogeneous group with an inter-sea backwardness. I don't have to explain to you. I'm sure all of you are familiar with certain categories of scheduled castes who have near monopoly in the selection process. So this already you must have seen it. So this kind of anomalies which exist in our society need to be addressed. Some kind of a rationalization has to be done. That is possible only if we give some extra weightage to certain categories which are now underrepresented. 97% of the research jobs and seats in educational institutions have been garnered by just around 25% and the OBC castes and subcastes. This is a finding of the Justice Rohini Commission. Now, since I'm very confident that you are aware of it, because you must have seen your own friends and colleagues getting the benefit of reservation, some of them, even if they don't deserve to be given reservation, they get it. Some people who deserve some weightage, they are denied because they belong to a certain category. So I don't want to elaborate further on that. Now, just I am repeating what I already mentioned. Article 341. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Article 341. Just read it. I am not reading it. Justice Chandrachud said that subclassification did not entail including or excluding castes from the presidential list. It is only a subcategorization, not taking out somebody from the category or including somebody new. That is not what it means. Within the category, differentiation can be done and it should be done. That is what Justice Chandrachud mentioned in his judgment. I hope you are read 341. Now we can read 342 also quickly. I assume that you are already aware of these articles. So we'll go to the next slide. Now, this is a question which you must expect in your interview. Because many of you, I am sure all of you are familiar with Indira Saini case. So I don't want to elaborate further on that. Because anybody who was prepared for civil services will certainly be aware of Indira Saini case. Otherwise, they would not have reached the interview stage. I am very sure about it. But Indira Saini case can have some effect on this particular decision. Indira Saini case dealt with OBCs. In fact, it is the one which said about the reservation for OBCs. What impact it can have on the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, that you must have some understanding. In the Chinnaya case, the 2004 case, the court, relying on Justice Jeevan Reddy's observations in Indira Saini case, had held that ruling on subclassifications applies exclusively to OBCs and does not extend to scheduled castes. That is the reason why it had to go to a 7-judge bench. That subcategorization is possible in OBCs, not in SC and ST. That is what the Indira Saini case decided. Chandrajod mentioned in this judgment that the issue in Indira Saini was restricted to OBCs, because there the issue of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe was not even discussed. There was no need for Justice Jeevan Reddy to pass a comment on the subclassification of SC/ST. There was no need for him to do that, but still he made that observation and it became part of the judgment. Now, Justice Chandrajod has clarified it. The issue was only OBCs in Indira Saini case. The principle of subclassification will be applicable to the scheduled caste if the social positions of the constituents among the caste or group is not comparable. That is, if there is not equality in that category, then subclassification can be resorted to. That is what Justice Chandrajod held in the 2024 decision. Justice Gawai also held that Justice Reddy had stated that scheduled castes were kept aside for the purpose of the judgment in Indira Saini case because they are admittedly included within the backward classes. But that is not, I don't think it is a very correct interpretation on the part of Justice Reddy, but whatever judgment was, whatever observation was there, we had to go by that. The Chief Justice's judgment noted that states had the legislative power to create subclassification as it did not amount to tampering with the presidential list. The state's power to do so stemmed from Article 15 and 16 of the Constitution. Again, going by the principle of equality among equals, that subclassification is possible if there is lack of equality. Now, criteria for subclassification. What should be the criteria and what is the criteria as expressed in the judgment? Article 15(4) provides that the beneficiary class for the purpose of the provision must be socially and economically backward. This is the reason why Chief Justice said that Article 15 is applicable. The Chief Justice observed that social and economic backwardness were not mutually exclusive and must be seen together. The Chief Justice also noted that according to the majority in Indira Saini, scope of the phrase backward class under Article 16(4) was wider than that under Article 15(4). The purpose of both articles was to ensure substantive equality by uplifting the socially backward class. Therefore, subclassification has to be based on social backwardness, not merely based on economic criteria. More important is the social criteria. Adequate representation meant qualitative representation and not just numerical representation. Now, the principle which was followed by Supreme Court in this case, that how does a category, this is a case of empowering a category which is now underrepresented or which is not able to play its role, play a significant role in the society. Suppose there is a category which is completely not in a position to take any decision, influence any decision of the society. That means that community is not being represented properly. It does not mean that suppose if you give them some additional positions, that does by increasing their numerical strength, that does not mean adequate representation. The quality of the representation is also important. That is what the Chief Justice of India has mentioned here. To create subclassifications within the group, the state needed to prove that there was varying degrees of backwardness and inadequate representation within the group. This is to be done based on empirical evidence, which empirical evidence will have to be compiled by the commissions. The state must prove that the group or caste carved out from the larger group of scheduled castes is more disadvantaged and inadequately represented. That you have to establish that there is a differentiation. Then only this classification is possible. Now, okay. Now we come to the questions. shall we take up the questions now? Okay, now I can see many of you. Some of you I can see, but some of you don't want to show their face. So please switch on your videos. Now we'll like to have a discussion on this. Okay, we'll come to the questions, the list which I already prepared. We'll come to that later, but let us have a discussion. What type of questions you would expect from the presentation I already made? Any one of you can raise your hand, or you can just simply unmute.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. Who is that?
Sir, this is Ashish Bharti, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Switch on my camera.
Yes. Yes, please speak.
So my question is that regarding this criteria, that the basis of sub-classification has to be based on social backwardness,
Yes.
as illustrated by the Chief Justice.
Yes.
So the classification that the Rohini Commission is trying to do in terms of the educational post and the jobs that the 25% OBCs have occupied in terms of 97%, isn't that more of economic?
It is more economic. Yes. Backward, in the case of backward classes, it is more economic, social and economic both, but more emphasis is on economics.
Yes, sir. So so isn't there a sort of contradiction between what Chief Justice is trying to say as the basis of sub-classification and what Rohini Commission is trying to present as the basis of sub-classification?
Okay. Can anybody answer this question? Let us make it an interactive session. Can anybody answer? I can answer this question, but I want one of you to answer.
Yes.
Or Ashish, you yourself can answer it if you want.
Yes. So basically,
it's a very good question you are raised.
Yes, sir.
And I have the answer with me, but I will like you to answer.
Yes, sir. So yes.
Can you repeat the question, Ashish?
Yes, my question is that the Rohini Commission has talked about, the 97% of jobs and educational seats going to 25% OBCs, which is depicting more of the income side of the sub-classification that the Rohini Commission is trying to present. But the Chief Justice in his statement has talked about the sub-classification to be based on the social backwardness. So isn't these two ideas contradicting in terms of the sub-classification?
Okay. Anybody has an answer? Assume that you are sitting in front of the UPSC board. You have to answer this question. UPSC panel is asking this question. How will you answer? Anybody?
Sir, I have an insight, I think.
Okay.
Sir,
okay.
Yeah, it said that the social and economic backwardness, it cannot be looked at exclusively. So there is inclusivity when we consider that. So they have to be looked together. So when they're talking about economic, it is some way also talking about the social aspects in a way.
Okay. Partly you have answered, but not completely.
Okay, sir.
Anybody else?
Hello.
Anand, yes.
Sir, I think that the basic criteria for classification for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe was based on social backwardness that they faced from pre-independence era, and that carried on much larger time. Like this time also, we see that they are being marginalized based on their caste and backwardness. And the educational qualification which the Justice Rohini Committee talked about other backward classes is solely based on education, but it can't be the sole criteria for determining the backwardness because as we can see.
Okay. I wish you could make it a little clearer. But all right, I accept your argument. Anybody else? Yes.
Education or that income.
Dipankar, sir.
Dipankar, yes.
Sir, as a whole group, sir, scheduled castes were, sir, historically marginalized, mainly in the society, because of which their economic discrimination was also a part of it. So, sir, that's why I think.
That was against the OBCs also.
Yes, sir. Sir, but for scheduled caste, that was more, I think, sir, it
Okay.
was more systematic and more on a deeper level compared to the OBCs. And sir, as they were treated as a single group, which were at the bottom of the society, which is also being currently being done. So, like, sir, you have seen the example of jails, like how in jails still tasks are given on the basis of caste. Like some scheduled caste inmates are being made to clean the toilets and not the other general inmates. So, sir, that's why I think the Chief Justice of India made this specific observation.
Okay.
And, sir, I think, sir,
Right.
Justice Rohini also focused on the economic aspect of it, but with the economic aspect, social aspect is also included. Because if you are economically disadvantaged, you are automatically socially disadvantaged in the modern materialistic world, sir.
Okay. Okay. I accept, but it's
Sir.
not enough. Okay. Anybody else?
So I would like to say something.
Okay.
Sir, it was observed, sir, it has been observed that economic upliftment of OBCs also leads to their social upliftment because their discrimination is not based on only some social criterion. So that's why in the previous situation, it was told that economic backwardness has to be the criterion in case of OBCs. But here, sir, in case of scheduled caste, sir, it has been seen that the just upliftment of the economic condition of the scheduled caste individuals does not lead to the social upliftment because of the stigma associated with the caste.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Okay. Now you're more on the line. Yeah, almost on the line, I would say.
Sir,
Now, okay, I'll explain it. Let us not spend more time on it. See, you look at the terminology. That will give you the answer. One terminology is backward class. The other one is scheduled. Backward and scheduled. These are not comparable. When you say somebody is backward, that means economically backward or socially backward or both. That is what the meaning of backwardness means. But why scheduled? They have been put in a schedule because of certain historical reasons. As Ishika Singh already mentioned, this is a historically they were backward, socially and economically backward. More so socially backward. More socially backward, economic backwardness was not the main criterion in the case of scheduled caste. When a caste was put in the schedule, they were put in that category of scheduled caste because they were socially backward. Even if some of them were economically well-to-do, if they were socially backward, they were put in the schedule. They could have been put in the schedule. It may not have happened, but even if some community was financially very, very forward, economically very forward, but if they have been socially backward, they could have been put in the schedule. So they could have been classified as scheduled caste irrespective of their economic position. But in the case of OBC, that is not the position. OBC, they are backward socially and economically, and more weightage is to be given to economic backwardness. Because of the economic backwardness, they are not getting their full rights. They are underrepresented because of their economic weakness. That is why the creamy layer concept came. Creamy layer concept didn't come in the scheduled caste because it was not considered to be economically backward alone. It was more socially backward. So when you are talking about a community which is socially backward, irrespective of their economic criteria, irrespective of their economic position, they are backward. They deserve to be in the schedule. That is the reason why creamy layer was not applied to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Now, this is the historical background. So when you look at this issue from that background, that is why I mentioned in the very beginning that any issue has to be analyzed from its historical background. So you have to have some idea about the decisions taken in the Constitutional Assembly. Constituent Assembly, why did they take a particular decision? I am not asking you to go through the Constituent Assembly debates, but at least please read a little bit about what the Constituent Assembly thought about this issue. Then that will make it very clear that why was this schedule created, and why was the backward classes not put in those schedule at that time? So it needed a Mandal commission for taking up this issue. Till that time, nobody thought about economically backward people. They were not socially very backward. In fact, some of the backward classes are not socially backward. I know in my state of Haryana, there are some classes which were not included in the OBC category to start with, but later on, because of their political hold which they have, they managed to get themselves classified as OBCs. So they were not economically backward, they were not socially backward. But maybe a little bit of economic backwardness was there, some group, so they were put in the OBC category. But OBC category is not a social categorization, it is an economic categorization. So once you understand this, then it will be easier to approach this type of questions. Any question which can come on this subcategorization issue, you will be able to answer that. Any other question which comes to your mind?
Hello, sir.
Sir,
Yes, others. Okay, others.
Yes, sir. Sir, if the economic criteria was the sole purpose in the Indusani case as for OBC, then
Yeah.
why was the 10% reservation for EWS case in that time at that time also was discontinued?
Very good question. Okay, who will like to answer this question? Anybody has an answer, or actually others you have an answer?
can you please, just repeat your question once?
Others, please
What
repeat
I'm
your
s-
question.
yeah, what I'm saying is the 10% reservation for EWS case, it was already presented during the Indusani case time. Basically for
Yes.
the 20, yeah, but it was like discontinued or struck off by the judgment. And the sir is saying that the economic criteria was the reason for giving reservation to the OBCs. So why was EWS case not considered and it was like removed?
Because I think as per the Article 15 and 16, it uses the term socio-economic backwardness
Yes.
and not just economic backwardness. So with the OBCs, there was also an element of social backwardness associated with that, and not just the economic, as it was in the case of EWS. So that is why that particular thing was done away with at that moment of time, as per my understanding.
You're right, Ashish. In fact, it was socio-economic backwardness, but in the case of OBCs, economics prevailed over social backwardness. In the case of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, it was more social backwardness. But in the case of EWS, it is not social backwardness because they are not socially backward; they are economically backward. So, somebody can say that all these are against the principles of the Constitution, but that debate will go on. EWS, many people feel that it was not envisaged in the Constitution. It should not have been included at all. But you can keep on arguing about it. But EWS is certainly not socially backward. They are economically backward. And now
So sir,
another thing which you might keep in mind that is, since we are on this issue of EWS, now an EWS category person or a family, once they get an opportunity, once they get a good job, or once they get financially higher position, they will cease to be EWS. That doesn't happen in the case of scheduled caste. Scheduled caste, even if you are very rich, you become a multi-billionaire, still you will be scheduled caste. In the case of OBC, once you cross the creamy layer criterion, you would cease to be OBC. This also you must keep in mind. Okay, somebody was talking. who was the one who unmuted? Anybody? Okay, shall we go to the list of questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Okay, okay.
Sir, as mentioned by Honorable Chief Justice, that classification has to be based on social backwardness. So, but it involves a lot of subjectivity. So, how can we assess?
That is why the commissions are meant for.
Okay, sir.
The commissions will collect evidence and decide it.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, in OBCs, they have used classes, other backward classes, but in SC, they have used caste. What could be the reason for this difference?
Can you repeat that question?
In OBC, they have used third class, other backward class. With respect to SC, they have used a scheduled caste. Why they have used class there, caste here?
Okay, can anybody answer this question?
Hello, sir.
Sir, maybe.
May I, as sir have told us before, OBC is more inclined towards economic backwardness. That's why they have used class in that terminology. And SC and ST are more based on social backwardness. So that may be the reason for this.
Yeah, that is the
For-
reason.
I have also one question, sir.
Okay.
If they ask about reservation that it perpetuates the caste in India, so what should be our stand on this, sir? That reservation perpetuates caste-based identities in India. So, is there be any answer to this,
No,
sir?
this is not very easy to answer this type of questions. These are all judgmental issues. How you judge a particular issue. Now, if I give an answer, that will be my answer. Can you give an answer to this question?
Actually, I don't have any answer right now, but I think this is the...
Try. Put yourself in the UPSC seat.
Okay, sir.
How will you answer this question?
I think social backwardness leads to economic backwardness, and as India is still a developing country, and there is so many poor people in India, so it is the need of the society at present to make society more inclusive and more united.
Okay. Now I can tell you one thing that when this type of questions come, there is no hard and fast answer to it. You cannot say that this my answer is correct and the other answer is wrong. Nothing like that. That doesn't happen, and anybody can say give an answer. Your answer will be different from another person's answer. Okay, but that doesn't mean that your answer is right and the other person's answer is wrong. No, it is more. This is a very important factor you must keep in mind while preparing for the civil service interview. That there is no in opinion-based questions. There is nothing like a right answer and wrong answer. It is how convincing you make it. That is important. If you are able to give a good answer, like in the judiciary also, two advocates are arguing the same case. One is arguing for the case and the other one is arguing against it. Now, can you say who is right and who is wrong? It will be decided by the judge. But a person who listens to the argument will not be able to decide that this advocate is saying the right thing. The other advocate is saying nonsense. Nobody can say that. Judges can do it later. Even within the judges also, they have difference of opinion. So UPSC interview also, there will be difference of opinion among the panel members also. So who can decide what is right and what is wrong? Nobody can do it. Your answer, nobody can say that your answer is right or wrong. But what is important, What is important for scoring marks in the UPSC interview is how you present it. Somebody may be a good lawyer. He may be arguing the case very well, but he doesn't win the case. Does it make him a bad advocate? It's not
No.
necessary.
Yes.
Okay. Your job is to present your case properly. The judges, the panel members sitting there, they may not buy your case. They may not buy your argument. Doesn't matter. But they will see how you presented it, how well you have presented it. You are getting marks for that. You are not getting marks for the argument. Keep that in mind. The presentation is more important than the arguments.
Sir, can we say that reservation was for equity, not for equality?
Well, it's difficult to say because equality is a concept which is impossible to achieve. And as I already mentioned, that equality is possible only among equals. So in equality, nobody even talks about equality. It is only equality of opportunity or equality of consideration of the categories. That is what is important. In fact, equality of opportunity, that is what our constitution talks about. Okay, you can call it equity if you want. I have no objection to that. But it is equality of opportunity, not just equality. Nobody can be, it is not possible to think of equality among unequals. Two persons, even in the same category, they are not equal. But they can be given equitable opportunity or equal opportunity. You can use both terms.
So that's answered the question that reservation do not create the class or the categorization. It just gives the opportunity to compete among equals.
Yeah, it is giving, but not in the case of scheduled caste.
Not in the case of
Not in the case of scheduled caste. No, in the scheduled caste, because there is a historical reason for their being declared scheduled caste. So even if they have been given enough opportunities, they still continue to be treated as backward. Unless in a future time, suppose government comes to a decision that Supreme Court has already expressed this viewpoint that creamy layer concept can be introduced in the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Once that is accepted, once government comes with a creamy layer concept in scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, then you can say that some people have now come out of the creamy layer. They come to the creamy layer, so they will not be considered any longer. But as on today, that is not the issue. That is not the criterion.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I would like to ask you that we as a country are talking about subclassification based on caste.
Yes.
Whereas we have seen recently that in Bangladesh, even in New Zealand, the other communities have voiced their concerns against reservation policy itself. So there is a growing distrust that we see, basically, that there is when you give more reservation, the gap between communities increases further. So how good we are with this policy that we are focusing still on reservation and not as on the economic upliftment of the whole society by some other means, like
by giving equality of opportunity, are we not giving them a chance to come above their present level?
So, but reservation also leads to cross discrimination by the other communities. Whereas if we give them scheme access and all, like should we not explore other means of providing this opportunity?
That in any case is being done. Every development program which the government is coming up with, it is a measure for removing poverty. Any poverty reduction, poverty alleviation program of government of India or the state governments is meant for removing the inequality. You can look at it that way. You can look at it that way.
Sir, but when we talk about subclassification, it will crystallize the caste identity even further more. And then there would be caste mobilization based politics. So the caste system, rather than eradication, is going further deeper into our society with these steps.
Okay. Will anybody like to comment on that?
Yes, sir. I would like to argue this.
Okay.
That, sir, basically, when we talk about this issue of reservation and the caste identities that it is generating, it is more about the implementation aspect of reservation policy and not the policy as such. So the issue lies in how we implement that policy. As Sir Ramachandra Guha has said, that reservation in India has generated more heat than light.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it becomes important to address the implementation part. For example, if a subclassification is being done, it should be done in a manner that should be more updated and up to the context in which it is to be implemented. It cannot be that we put up a policy of reservation and for the next 100 years we leave it untouched as to no changes have been brought about. So we have to keep it updated in its implementation part, because the policy of reservation in its part is about equality, bringing those communities at par with those who are already situated at the upper level. So that is my argument for this.
Okay, now I
Sir,
will. I like to close it because already we have spent nearly an hour and a half on one issue. Okay,
sir,
so we can continue. We can keep on discussing it for any number of hours, but let us leave it to the our group more platform where we can have further discussion on this issue. We will have more discussion on it, but I will like to take up 2 or 3 issues more today before we run out of time. So we'll stop here for the time being, and we'll have a quick look at the questions. Where is it? I'm not able to. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Is the slide visible to you? Somebody is doing some annotations and all that. Is the slide visible?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Okay. We'll go to the questions which I have. This is a list which I have prepared. I will share this the slides with you. So this is how you have to think about the possible questions. When you deal with any particular issue, think of the possible questions which the panel can put before you. So I given one list here. It is not an exhaustive list. You can think of many more questions. And now questions like, do you support subclassification of OBC, SC, ST? Now, naturally, nobody will say that I don't support, or it's up to you. I will not give put an answer in your mouth. But whatever answer which you would like to give on this type of questions, you should be very clear in your mind that you can argue your case through. If you are very confident that you can justify your answer, justify your stand, then go ahead and do it. And there's nothing wrong in that. And another question, does the present system provide level playground for all communities? This is a very routine kind of a question. And they may ask about constitutional provisions. This again a routine question. Can center subclassify OBC, SC, ST without constitutional amendment? This is a question, it's a typical textbook kind of a question. Can individual states subclassify OBC, SC, ST without constitutional amendment? Can center do it? Can states do it? This you should have some idea about the constitutional provisions. Can states tinker with a list of SC, ST issued by the center? This will be an interesting thing. Is it possible to provide level playground through other initiatives? That question was already asked in this forum. will the move strengthen the demand for doing away with reservation? Okay, this question we will spend 1 or 2 minutes on. Will the move lead to further divide among communities? And do you think the definition of creamy layer should be the same for SC, ST and OBC? This is another question we can think of. Okay, now will you like to answer these two questions? We'll stop with that. Is it possible to provide, will the move strengthen the demand for doing away with reservation? Can anybody answer this question? Suppose that this is the reservation to end reservation. Can anybody throw a light? So, Swastik, you want to talk? You raised your hand.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, sir. Sir, if we subclassify the SC/STs, in that case, it will lead to more equity. And I think Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also said that after some time, when there's equity in the society and there's low level of discrimination, we can do away with the reservation system. So I think this move will definitely lead to more demand of removing the reservation.
Okay, hold on to that. We'll not discuss further. All of you can think about it. This is a good answer Swastik has given. You can further elaborate on it. I also think on the same lines that this is a good move that let people come out of the poverty, let everybody come above the poverty line. But again, the social stigma, the social backwardness issue will continue to remain for some more time. How do we get then applying the creamy layer to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe? Can it address this issue of social backwardness? Economic backwardness, yes, you can address by defining the creamy layer. But can you remove the social backwardness by using the creamy layer concept in scheduled caste and scheduled tribe? This I will leave the thought with you. Think about it. Maybe in the group mock, I might ask this question to somebody. Then we can have a discussion on that at that time. Another question, last question is, do you think the definition of creamy layer should be the same for SC, ST and OBC? Again, I am leaving this question to you to think about. Okay. Now we'll stop this particular topic here and go back to the first slide. Okay. Which other topic now? You have the chat box. I'll go to let me go to the chat box. Let me see what is the general consensus. Caste-based census, caste-based census, caste-based census, codes, subcategories. Okay. EVM controversy, delimitation issue, one nation, one election. Okay. It looks like there is more vote for the caste-based census. So let me go to that. Okay, I'm sure all of you are familiar with this issue, so I will not spend much time elaborating this issue. We'll just read along. 29 July 2024, Supreme Court refused to stay Patna High Court decision to declare the Bihar government's 65% reservation in education and public employment as unconstitutional. Very important decision. Petitioner's argument was that Bihar government did not consider economic criteria, only population data was considered. 50% limit on reservations imposed by the Indira Sahni case was exceeded. That is another argument. The Bihar government argued that the report stated that 85% of the population in Bihar belong to backward communities. It would be unfair for the 15% privileged and unreserved population to have access to 50% of seats in public education or government positions. Caste survey is in violation of the right to privacy of an individual, which was held to be an intrinsic part of Article 21 of the Constitution by the Supreme Court in K.S. Puttaswamy case. And finally, positive discrimination on the ground of caste could be upheld only under Article 15.4 and 16.4 of the Constitution, and otherwise it falls foul of Article 14 of the Constitution. Okay, that is, some grounds are there, but right to equality will continue to be there, continue to be supreme. We'll go to the rest of the slides. Arguments in favor of caste census. Caste census will provide hard data about numerical strength of backward classes in different states. Caste census will provide socio-economic nuances of the OBC population and could show that their representation in different institutions is not according to the size of the population. It will provide a clear picture of the socio-economic conditions of the marginalized communities, making it easier to devise affirmative action policies, allocate resources, and ensure that government programs reach those who need them the most. The caste survey in Bihar found that extremely backward classes comprise 36% and backward classes 27.1% of the state's population. The report also exposed the inadequacies of the state in education, income, access to technology, etc., indicating need for targeted intervention. Caste census is a long-standing demand by opposition parties, as well as the ruling NDA allies such as JDU, TDP, Lok Janshakti Party, Republican Party of India, and Apnadal. And arguments against caste census. India has thousands of castes and subcastes, and defining them clearly is a complex task. This could lead to confusion and disputes. Numerically stronger castes may seek political consolidation by organizing themselves into regional parties. Small castes may further be divided, marginalized if their numbers are affirmed in a census. Such castes may come up with demands for separate quotas or SC status. Caste system is not exclusive to Hindu society. Non-Hindu religions also practice caste system, but may not admit it. And the response of Government of India was that in an affidavit filed in the Supreme Court on 23 December 2022, the Union government ruled out conducting a socio-economic caste census, stating that a caste census, except that for the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes done traditionally, was unfeasible, administratively difficult, and cumbersome. It was also argued that the judiciary cannot direct the government to conduct a caste census because it is a policy decision not to do so, and the judiciary cannot interfere with government policy. In the census exercise in 2025, there is no proposal to conduct a caste-based census. Now, I will stop at this, and now we'll go to the discussion. Okay. Now, anybody would like to ask questions on this? I don't want too much time to be spent on this, but if anyone wants to raise a very interesting issue, an interesting question, then please come out with that. Otherwise, we will skip to the next topic. Anybody would like to discuss? Who had voted for caste-based census? They can raise this issue.
Sir, I have a question regarding caste-based census.
Okay, Swastik, yes.
Sir, as far as I remember, the census is a union subject, but states undertaking census by themselves, how is that a constitutional violation? And if they are not taking census, then, and if they are undertaking surveys, and what if there's a error, and it may lead to some reservation policies which may benefit already privileged or may hinder already underprivileged section from reservation, how it may lead to the social discrimination in society.
Okay. Any answer to this question? Anybody would like to answer? You have to answer these questions because you have to start thinking that you are sitting in the hot seat in UPSC. You have to answer any question you should expect. And you should be prepared to answer questions. Who would like to answer Swastik's question?
I would like to answer, sir.
Okay, Puneet Kumar, yes.
Yes, as surveys are needed to collect the data and to implement policies in the right direction. There may be some chances of error, but it doesn't mean that states should stop taking surveys.
Yeah, okay. But you have not completely answered the question. Swastik, are you happy with the answer?
Any
Swastik,
particular cost?
Yes, sir.
have you got the answer?
No, sir. The answer was incomplete, I guess.
That is what I also felt that. Swastik,
Mm,
will you like to further ask question?
Sir, do I need to answer that?
No, if you don't agree with the Puneet's answer, or if you think that it is
Yes, sir.
incomplete, how do you want him to complete it?
Sir, I just want answer to my second part, which was that if there's some error in the survey, which is very likely, then in that case, if there are reservation policies made on the basis of surveys, then what may happen when some privileged section may get reservation and underprivileged are hindered uh, to get some reservation or benefits. So, sir, that was the second part.
Okay. Puneet, do you have an answer to that? Vaibhav has raised hand. Vaibhav?
There is a possibility of error, no doubt, as there are so many castes in India. But I believe that in case of reservation, the president decides the list of SC and ST categories. In case of OBGs, states have power to prepare their own list. But in case of SC and ST reservation, there is no chance of such a error in reservation.
What is the difference? The one question which I would like to ask all of you, anyone of you can answer. What is the difference between a survey and a census? If you can answer that question, probably Swastik's question would be answered.
Hello, sir. I would like to answer.
Okay, others.
Sir, a census is the enumeration of all the resident or people in a given geographical area, while a survey is the representative of those all people who are living there. Basically, if there are, like, let's say 1 crore people living in a state, then whole 1 crore people will be enumerated in a census. But in a survey, a representative population of that 1 crore people, let's say 10 lakh people, those data will be collected and taken as a representative for the 1 crore population.
Okay. Swastik, now you have to react to this.
Yes, sir. I think he's almost correct. What I know, because in census, it's head count, everybody is counted and their data is collected. But in surveys, there's a sample space which is smaller than the absolute number of people. So that may generate some data
Yes.
correct. Yes, sir.
Then, in a nutshell, if you put it, census, the possibility of error, possibility of discrepancies is very, very less, almost non-existent. Whereas in the case of a survey, there can be many, it may not give the correct picture at all. The difference between the correct picture and what is presented in the survey may be quite different. That doesn't happen in the case of a census. So if the census, let us say in 2025, we have the census and complete enumeration of the communities is done, then we'll have a very good picture. And that is what the opposition is talking about. Some of the people who are talking about, the Bihar government also talked about the caste-based census, but the JDU is supporting the caste-based census. So caste-based census, if it is done, naturally it will give you the correct picture. But if it is a survey, you have to somehow manage, you have to assume that you got the correct picture, and based on that you take decisions, you come up with the schemes, but it may not reflect the correct position as on ground. So these are administrative issues. So you can think about it further, but okay, let us go to some other issue, some other question on this issue. Any other issue? Okay, I will go to the questions then. The questions which have come to my mind. Do you think caste should be a factor to be included in the census? That is a general question, routine kind of a question. You can think about a possible answer. What are the social or political implications of caste census? This is also a very likely question you must expect. But again, I cannot give you an answer. You have to have your own answer. Why didn't Government of India so far conduct a caste census? After 1931, we have not conducted any caste census. What is the reason for that? Some of you already discussed this, and I have also discussed it. Will caste census lead to further division of society on caste basis? This is a philosophical question. You have to think about it. Is it necessary to give equal representation for all castes? This we have already discussed in the first issue, about the subcategorization issue. We have already discussed. So I think all of us have fairly good idea about how to answer this question. Do you think 50% is the maximum ceiling for reservation? That is, do you want Indira Sani case judgment to be the final authority, or can the EW, like what was done in the case of EWS categories, where the 50% reservation limit was exceeded, or the 65% case where 65% reservation done in Bihar, are these constitutionally correct or not? That's a question which you can think of. Did the EWS reservation violate the 50% ruling? Yes, that is the same question I asked. Should caste census be done by the center or the states? This is a very, in fact, I would say this is a constitutional question. Who has got the authority to conduct caste census, state or the center? Now, the present position is that only the center has the authority, not the states. But states can conduct surveys, and that is what the Bihar government has done. Will it lead to demand for caste census in non-Hindu communities? Because this is a very philosophical question again. Can anybody answer that question? Non-Hindu communities, suppose there is a demand for caste census in non-Hindu communities, what will it lead to? Will it open a Pandora's box? These are the type of questions I usually ask in the interviews. That is why
Yes,
I
sir.
come prepared with, because these are very difficult questions to answer, but you have to start thinking on those lines.
Yes, sir.
Ashish, yes, please.
Sir, I think definitely caste is in terms of Indian society, if we see, it is something that is characteristic of every religion that is operating in India. And although it has started from a particular religion, but now it is spread across different religions. So when we see the reports of Sachar Committee and Mishra Committee, Ramnath Mishra Committee, then it highlights the condition of the Dalit Muslims, and in some committees have highlighted the condition of the Dalit Christians as such. So in this regard, if the caste census is conducted in the Hindu society, I think, and if it results in some kind of benefit for those underprivileged communities, then definitely there will be a greater demand among those non-Hindus also for their benefit.
Now, those backward people, the people who are in a disadvantaged situation, they may demand for a reservation, but will the community accept it?
Yes, sir. I think there will be an inertia at the community level because firstly, they are living with the perception that as such in their core idea of religion, the caste is not there, but they forget the Indian context in which their religion is operating. So at the community level, I think there will be an inertia and not the same kind of demand that is being pushed by the Hindu society in terms of the caste census.
Okay, anybody else will like to react to it?
Sir, I would like to say something on this.
Okay, Sanjay Meena. Yeah.
Sir, those community who will benefit from this, they will demand for further caste-based census in non-Hindu communities. but those in non-Hindu communities who are at better footing, they will obviously oppose this. So there will be confrontation within non-Hindu communities based on this caste census, sir. I think so.
That is why I asked you, will it open a Pandora's box?
Sir, yes, sir, it will.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else has a different opinion? All of you agree on this?
Sir,
Okay. Dipankar, yes.
so you put up a question that will the communities be willing to do that caste census? So, sir, I think the communities other than the Hindu communities will not be very much up for the caste census because different religion which came to the land were premised on curing the defects of the majority religion of the land, and the major defect of Hindu religion is the caste-based discrimination. So if they accept that their communities also suffer from it, so in a way they'll be admitting that the premise on which they marketed or they spread their religion has not been met, which will be seen as a failure by the religious leaders of these communities. So I don't think the communities leaders will be up and willing for caste census in non-Hindu communities, sir.
Okay. Now, anybody else would like to react? Otherwise, we'll stop it.
Also,
Sir,
also,
I
sir.
can. Okay, you please get it.
Okay. Who has raised the hand?
Sir, just one point I would like to add in this.
Okay.
That now we are seeing growing demands from different academicians and in general also that about the Dalit Muslims and the Dalit Christians, that how this reservation to Dalits needs to be given to even other religions also. So in this context, it becomes important for the government also to have an objective idea as to what extent the discrimination is prevalent in their community. So in that regard, there can be.
Okay. Okay. Who else? I heard some voices.
Yes, sir.
Vaibhav, yes.
Sir, if we look at the core of the caste-based reservation, the idea of caste-based reservation is to improve or increase the ambit of justice. So if we talk about justice, if there is some social economic backwardness among the non-Hindu communities based on caste, and if they can be removed by caste-based reservation, then the state must go ahead and do it. Despite if there is definitely there are chances that a Pandora box can open up, but on this basis of that probability, we cannot limit the justice to those who deserved it. So in my opinion, there should be a caste-based reservation to non-Hindus also, if that is justified on the basis of their social economic backwardness.
Now, if you say that it will open a Pandora's box, should the government be a party to it?
Sir, the caste is central to Hinduism, and the non-Hindu caste like Buddhism and Christianity in tribal regions, so those were mostly converted ones. So I think the religion itself will resist it, sir.
No. My question is, should the government encourage it?
Sir, at the level of opening the Pandora's box, government should not encourage it. But at the core of caste-based reservation is to increase justice in the society. So if there is some backwardness in non-Hindu communities because of their caste identities, that should be removed by the basis of laws, which at the end government initializes. So if the conflict arises, then definitely government should come into the picture to resolve the conflicts.
Sir, I would like to add one point.
Okay.
Sir, if we look at yes, sir, Nitish. If we look at non-Hindu communities, sir, there is no consensus on what caste they have, and they don't have clear-cut classification. Even the religion, not even a single religion have a clearly defined that what are the castes they have apart from Hinduism. So
that's not correct. That is not correct. So,
Sir, they have caste.
People have a caste identity.
Yes, sir, they have predefined caste. Like
it is clearly defined in Islam, but in the Sikhism, they have comparable caste to Dalit, but there is no caste for STs and for
There
OBC.
is no caste defined, but caste practices exist.
Yes, sir. So my point is that government cannot give benefits because the criteria is not defined. So giving benefits based on the non-definable criteria may open Pandora box, and it would complicate the situation. So, and also the religious head who actually controls the power in these groups, and even the political power will not accept this caste census.
Sir,
Okay,
hello.
okay. Himanshu want to say something.
Sir,
Himanshu, please switch on. So switch on your microphone. Himanshu, you are still muted.
Sir, can I answer?
Yes.
Sir, I think that the reservation policy is also related to historical injustices suffered by certain groups of people. So, sir, in this context, even though certain people have converted to other religions, but the social and educational backwardness is still attached to them. And sir, when it comes to whether a state should be party or not, sir, I think under Article 15.4 and 16.4, it doesn't restrict the state. The power is given to the state to bring policies for the backward groups and social and educational backward groups. It doesn't restrict the state not to make a policy for any particular religion or not. So, sir, in that case, the state has the power to do that, and in order to do the justice for the historical injustices suffered, the state should go with it. So that's what I think.
Oh, okay. Ananda's.
Sir, I think as a welfare state and a democratic state, the government should interfere in these matters because it will lead to justice and welfare of all the people who have been suffering from injustice for a very long time. Like in Muslims also, we see that there have been categorization of Ashraf, Arzals and Azlafs. So the lowermost category of the Muslims, this time also they suffer injustice. So government should interfere in this, and it will not open a Pandora box until and unless there is the objectivity in the criteria of classification.
Okay, now we can anybody else?
Sir, I would like to say, sir, the ultimate goal of governance is to ensure the social justice. So, if caste-based census promote that, then government should go ahead with. It should not be worried about that how political output will be there. If it in the end it promotes social justice, and that is my take.
Do you think any political party will be immune to the political fallout in such a decision?
No, sir. Obviously, political party will first of all make sure that their political career is not. So that is the main reason. So most of the political parties are not going for caste-based census.
But still, there is a demand.
Yes, sir. The demand is, sir, from those parties or those state-level parties that think that if they if they say that we'll do caste-based census, then the chances of them getting in the power are more. So, sir, that
Okay. They want the government, the present government, to take a decision and get doomed.
Yeah.
Is it so? Something like if they come to power, they will not do it.
Yes, sir.
No government in power will like to do it.
Yes,
No
sir, that
party
is.
in power will like to do it.
Yes, sir.
But as long as you are in opposition, you can continue to
Yes, sir. Demand caste-based census, but once you are there, then
once you come into
power
ruling party, then you will not do it.
Yes, sir. Then you will be answerable for all the.
No, it will lead to your downfall.
Sir.
As it happened in the case of the Mandal agitation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the last question which I will like to ask you, that let us say that the government goes ahead with caste-based census, whatever, and good representation, good consideration is given to every backward community. Okay. Will it end reservation? Once we achieve the goal of equality. Reasonable equality. I am not saying that 100% equality will be reasonable. We raise every and we almost remove the social stigma by giving them equal opportunity. Once the equal opportunities are given, a lot of social stigma will be removed. It may not be 100% remote, but to a large extent, it will be remote. For example, if you meet a IAS officer meeting belonging to the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, you don't consider him as an outcast because he has already gone beyond that. But a person who is not in a higher position, not got that kind of an opportunity, will consider himself to be socially backward. So once we can remove the social backwardness through these type of reforms, can we end reservation?
Sir, the ultimate goal was to remove reservation after few years. But sir, as we have seen that reservation is benefiting certain communities and they are stick to it.
They don't want to forgo the benefit. They have already availed the benefit. They don't want their children to be deprived of it.
Yes, sir. So they'll continue to demand that.
Okay. Now I'm just leaving these thoughts open to you. I'm not answering these questions, but please be prepared to answer these questions because I will not say that you answer this way or that way. No. Whatever is the answer which you would like to give to this type of questions, that will be acceptable, provided you support it with good arguments. You have to give a sound argument. If you can do that, then any answer is plausible. Any answer is acceptable. Okay, that is the approach you must make in the case of civil service interview. Don't worry about the reasonableness of the answer. Think only of the quality of the answer. Quality of the answer should be very good. It should be supported by good arguments. Okay. And after that, the correctness of the answer is not important. We'll see more of it as we go along in the mock interviews. We will see most of these things being discussed again and again. Okay. Now I am going back to the first slide because this is the last topic we will discuss today. Only one more topic we will take, and I think you have taken you have voted for EVM controversy. So I am going to EVM controversy. We'll just go through the slide. Supreme Court judgment of 26 May 2024. You must go through the judgment in case of the EVMs. The controllers in EVMs are agnostic and do not recognize. This is not my word. This is from this Supreme Court judgment itself. Supreme Court judgment has made it very clear that microcontrollers are agnostic and do not recognize candidates. EVM units are standalone and non-networked. Unauthorized access detection mechanism is there. One-time programmable microcontroller chip in 3 units. You know what are the 3 units? One is the voting machine, the other is the control unit, and the third is the BBPAT machine. No external power supply is there because they are standalone. They can operate even in places where there is no power connection. Provision of mock poll is there that in the beginning of the election, beginning of the polling, the representatives of the parties present there, they are given the demonstration of a mock poll and their signatures are also taken. System of allocation of buttons to candidate is there is a well-defined system based on the recognition of the political parties followed by the alphabetical order. 5% EVM VVPAT counts to be randomly verified. This is a random choice, so that 5% is not decided by anybody individually. EVMs have been preventing booth capturing and they will continue to do so. And if EVMs are done away with, booth capturing can come back. And administrative convenience, tremendous administrative convenience is there. Earlier, the final results were announced, used to be announced sometime on the next day, But now, on the same day, the results are announced, and a lot of other conveniences are also there. And now the question which is asked by some people is, any electronic device can be hacked. We'll discuss a little bit on that. We'll take the benefit of people with some of you who have the background of IT. We will take their help. Then another argument against EVM is that advanced countries do not trust EVMs. Should we always follow the advanced countries? At least in one instance, can't we be ahead of them? That is a question which you have to answer. Okay, now will not take up these questions. Questions I will take up later. Now let us have a discussion on the technological aspect of EVMs. Can some of you with a technical background give us some idea about the possibility of hacking of electronic devices? Anybody can give, and I don't have IT background, though I have science background, but I don't have IT background. Any one of you with IT background can throw some light on it. Who would like to?
Sir?
Yogesh? Yes, Yogesh, please.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Sir, I would like to say that if it is connected to a network, then electronic devices can be hacked.
And
But
now we all know that it is not connected to a network.
yeah, since EVMs are outside the network, so it is very rare possibility to hack an EVM.
Now, rare possibility means possibility. When you say rare possibility, that means there is a possibility, isn't it?
Yes, sir, but that would require the microcontroller chips to be programmed in such a manner that
that is the question. That is the question which some opposition parties are raising, that microcontroller chips can be programmed.
but that is
Sir.
done in a highly scrutinized environment, so it is difficult to bypass those conditions.
Okay. Anybody like to react to that?
Yes, sir.
Or throw a little more light on it?
Yes, sir. Any electronic device can be hacked if it is not connected to internet. Also, as we have proved that what Israel has done recently with the pager attacks and all attacks, for example, blasting the televisions and landline phones. So
Pager is connected to a network.
no, sir. After pager attack, like they blasted the telephone and television, etc. So, telephone cannot be like home telephone that is not connected to internet. So that can be blasted. It means it can be hacked. So
How did they do it? You are a technical person, Abhishek.
so mechanical.
What is your background?
A mechanical engineer.
Mechanical engineer. Can you throw some light on how they did it?
Sir, that I'm not having information.
Anybody knows how Israel done it? Answer, you would like to say that? If too many people switch on the mic, the problem will be there. Only one at a time. Only one at a time, yes. Because my mic will be on at any time, but only one of you can. When one person switches on, others stop it. Okay. Anybody with electronic engineering, computer engineering background?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'd like to say something.
Who is that?
Amita.
Amita. Okay, Amita. Yes, please.
Sir, I'm from electronics background.
Okay. Can you raise your voice a little more?
Yes, sir. Sir, am I audible now?
Yes, now you're audible. Yes.
Sir, I don't think EVMs can be hacked because first they're not connected to any network. Secondly, one of the persons told that microcontrollers can be programmed. But
Yes.
sir, those microcontrollers or those chips are they come from the manufacturer side. Let's say Intel is producing or some other big manufacturer is producing. So that is from their end.
Okay.
Look, after completing a set, after completing all the chips, ICs, then we cannot hamper it.
Okay.
And I don't
At
think
the
at
time
the
of assembly, is it possible?
yes, sir, but it is coming from again manufacturer side. So
Yeah,
after
but
that, I feel
manufacturers are government bodies.
sorry, sir. Let's say a chip is coming
Manufacturers,
from
all the manufacturers are government organizations.
okay. So like at the time of assembly, when you're feeding a program, that time it can be changed. But after it is integrated, it is an IC, then it cannot be hacked and further programmable.
Okay, now the argument which was given by some people is that the manufacturers themselves may be made to do it, made to do the programming in such a way that the votes go to a particular party or particular candidate. Is it possible?
Manufacturing might be possible because it is again a loading of software program only. So not something else.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody would like to argue this case?
Good evening, sir. Sir,
Good
I am
evening. What is the name?
Manish.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
Sir, the chips can be only written once. Moreover, ECI ask every political party to detect the faults in the EVM. It openly asks the political party. So if the political parties can have enough funds, can arrange any technocrat from any part of the world to prove that EVMs are faulty. So they can do that. So on these basis, I think that EVM is fault proof.
Okay. Any counter argument?
Sir, actually, I can add on that the process is
Yeah.
randomized, sir. Allocation of the EVM to the constituency, that is randomized. So one cannot know that where it is going to be utilized in the constituency and in which constituency.
Sir,
Okay.
in addition to that,
Yeah.
before
Himanshu, yes.
mock polls are also conducted, and where members of each political parties are present. So that also verifies whether the EVMs are hacked or not.
But what they are arguing that the timing is also important. That mock polls are conducted in the first few minutes of the polling process, but after that the algorithm is designed in such a way that it will start creating problems only after a certain time. These are the arguments, and it's not my argument. These are the arguments from interested parties.
So can I say?
Yes, yes.
Sir, I think so. The manufacturers, I mean, coming to that point is, I think so. Yes, that's a weak point. So I think so. You try to bring up the analogy of Israel. So in that pages, they were compromised at the time of manufacturing. So I'm not sure if there's any verification process during the time of manufacturing. So I think so. That's a weakness that can happen.
Okay. As long as you are in the opposition, you will continue to say that it is a government organization, so they can be manipulated. And when you are in government, you say that there is a foolproof protocol which we are following, and it's not possible to do. So these arguments will go on. So I'll not like to further create any controversy on this issue. But please think about it and apply your mind to this issue and see in what way you can answer the question. Maybe you can, those of you who do not have technical background, maybe you can seek the help of some technical person to help you in answering the question in a better way. That you can do. I'm the only purpose of my presentation is to give you an idea of what type of questions are likely. I'm not giving you the answers. Answers we will see during our mock interviews, we will see plenty of answers. Some of you would be answering these questions yourself. Some of us will be asking these questions. Okay, so you start your preparation on these lines. You take any topic and think of the possible questions. Any topic you go through the current affairs ready reckoner you will be getting now, go through that and for each topic, think of the possible questions. And that is the best way to prepare for your civil service interview. And once you are very clear that, yes, this type of questions can come, how do I find answers to it? Some of the answers will be already available in the ready reckoner. But sometimes the answer may not be there because I don't do much of analysis. The ready reckoner is more factual in nature. There's not much of analysis. So you have to give your analysis also. You have to go to do some analysis of the issue yourself based on the reading which you have already done, based on the television interviews you might have listened to. Think of a possible analysis of the issue and possible questions which can be asked during the interview. That is the first step you have to do. The second step is take this issue, discuss these issues in a group. Many of you might be part of study groups. You may already have some study groups of your own. You may be living in a hostel. There will be many other candidates staying with you or in the hostel, not necessarily in the same room, but in the hostel there may be other candidates. If you can create a small study group of candidates preparing for civil services and not necessarily preparing for the interview, even if they are not qualified for the interview, doesn't matter. Have this group and discuss these issues with your friends. And of course, you will be able to discuss with us also during the next 3-4 months time. But depending on the date of your interview, if your interview comes very early, then naturally you will not get much opportunity to discuss with us. But definitely you should start the process of discussing in your peer group. And if you can even conduct a small mock interview in your peer group, that will be an added attraction, added bonus. You will be much better prepared to answer these questions. But what is important is framing of questions. If you can frame good questions, answers will come to you. You have plenty of material available to you. My ready reckoner itself is a very good source of information. You can always collect information from other sources. But framing questions is not easy. That is the area which you must start concentrating now onwards. Think of all possible questions from different angles. One person may be from technical background, one person may be from civil service background, a third person may be from history background. So you have to think from their point of view, what type of questions they can ask on this particular issue. Current affairs question anybody can ask. Technical questions only a technical person will ask. But current affairs question, any of the 5 members sitting there can ask. And they will be asking questions from based on their experience, based on their background. So think of possible background. Suppose if you can get a person with the background of Indian Foreign Service, how he will ask questions on this particular current affair. Think of that. And then try to find answers in the best possible manner. It's not finding answers is not at all difficult, and if you don't find answers yourself, then raise these questions in the group mock when we have it, and we will be able to help you in answering. And in any case, all of us are together. Sankalp, one reason why we don't consider ourselves a coaching center is that we don't want a competition among you. That is one of the reasons. There are other reasons also, but one main reason is that we don't want you to compete against each other. You are competing against 2,500 candidates, okay, but you are not competing against yourself. You are part of our Sankalp group. You have to help each other. The best way to help each other is to form small groups, maybe even less than 10 number, 6 to 10 for study group. Normally it is 5 or 6, but in the case of interviews, it can be a slightly larger group, doesn't matter. So if you have a group of 7, 8 people, then you start thinking in terms of conducting interviews for yourself. You can yourself be a candidate, you can be an examiner also, you can be a panel member. And then you, once you become a panel member, then you start thinking of possible questions. That is what I do, because since I am sitting in the panel, I have to think of questions. I don't have to think of answers. Answers are with you. I don't have to think of answers. I only have to see whether your answer is correct or not. I don't have to give an answer myself. But when you give an answer, I will know whether it is right or not, whether it is acceptable or not. So that approach, if you adopt, then you will be able to generate plenty of questions during the next 1 month or so, and depending on the time, which in any case, all of you are going to have interview only January onwards. I don't think there will be any interview in the month of December. Have you got any idea about the interview schedule? I don't think anybody has any idea about it. I mean, you don't have the idea because I don't think UPSC has yet prepared the schedule. So when they prepare it, there will be a gap of 10-15 days. So I don't expect any interview in the month of December. It has happened in the past, but I don't think it will happen this year. So be prepared for an interview in January or February, but you have enough time to prepare. Preparing for interview is not a very difficult task. One of the best ways to prepare for interview is to attend as many group mocks as possible, because as already explained by Rajuji, that you will get plenty of questions. You will get a big question bank if you attend the group mocks. And you will also see how your own friends are answering those questions. You try to put yourself in their position and see, in case I was asked this question, how I would have answered. Is my answer, can I give an answer better than that candidate? Think of how to improve. So it's a continuous process of improvement. And once you yourself sit on the hot seat, you will be very well prepared. Okay, now do we have time? What is time now? Now we are run out of time. We won't be able to. Maybe we can have one more session some other time. राजू जी अपना माइक अनम्यूट कर लीजिए. राजू जी आप हैं वहाँ? आपका नाम तो मैं देख रहा हूँ. चलो कोई बात नहीं, मैं बात मैं कर लूँगा. तो in any case, if you want, we can have one more session, but more than 3 or 4 topics we will not be able to discuss over a period of 2.5 hours. So because I don't want just to touch and go. That is not the pattern which I follow. When I discuss something, I try to discuss various aspects of that issue. And that is how you should prepare your civil service answers also. That you have to touch on various aspects of the issue and see how best you can answer a question based on your experience. Of course, you have your own limitations, but try to overcome those limitations by focused preparation. When I say focused preparation, means that after analyzing various the issue from various angles, how you come to a conclusion. That focus means you start from a big area and reduce it to a smaller level. That is what is meant by focus. So that is what you should do. Think of all possible questions, but converse them onto your answers. Answers, there will be very few answers, because whatever material I have given to you, you can't have more than that material in any case. But questions can be plenty. Questions can be of a very wide range. Any questions you would like to ask me? the last few minutes. If you have no question, then I will stop here. We
Sir,
can meet on. Who is that?
I have Sir
Ganesh.
Ganesh.
Okay, Ganesh, yes.
Sir, regarding the SECC conducted in 2011, the government conducted it.
Which was conducted?
SECC,
Okay,
Socio-Economic.
SECC. Okay, SECC. Yeah.
It
Yes.
was conducted. The government did not release the data, saying
Yes.
that there is inaccuracy in recording the data. So while suppose a question is asked in the interview that why did the government did not release the data? So should we answer it this only, or should we answer the
No,
reservation?
that answer is incomplete. Government didn't release the data not because inaccuracies are there, but it is because as we already discussed in the group already right now, that government is afraid of opening the Pandora's box. Because once the data is released, people will start arguing based on that. That our community is less represented, so we need more reservation, things like that. So government wants no such demands coming from various quarters. But but now one question which comes from the issue which you have raised, Kanish, is that if it is an inaccurate data, why is government using it? There is a reason for that. Because see, after all, administrators need some data. 100% accuracy may not be necessary. Suppose if you are planning something for a particular category of persons, like economically weaker sections. Now we don't know whether economically weaker section people, people below the poverty line is say 25%, 30%, 35%. We don't. Let us assume that we don't know it. We don't know exact figure of people below poverty line. Will it prevent us from taking decisions? We know that there is a substantial population below the poverty line. We know that information is enough. So some survey data is enough. Exact population data is not necessary for planning. That is the reason why government went for a survey rather than a census. Socioeconomics caste census, though it was considered as a census, but it was more like a survey. It didn't collect accurate figures, because accurate figures people will not give. Most of the people who are surveyed, who respond to the census data, they don't give 100% accurate data. That is a problem. They may not even give their economic status completely. And the people who come for census, they are not going to ask questions. They have a questionnaire before them. They ask questions only from that. They are not going to ask supplementary questions. So the correctness of the census is not guaranteed. It is not merely counting numbers. It is a socio-economic survey. Socio-economic survey there is a qualitative aspect to that, not merely quantity. If it is a quantitative survey, it is possible to have 100% accuracy. But a qualitative survey will always be subject to this type of variations. Some subjectivity will come in the census data itself, because one particular surveyor may be looking at it from one angle. I will just give you one example. Suppose a socioeconomic backwardness criterion is looked at. A person from a backward community will look at it in one way. A person from a forward community will look at it in a different way. I don't want to explain further. I know you understood what I wanted to say, that two persons in the same position will look at the issue in different ways based on their own background, based on their own status in society. So can we have an objective evaluation of the data? It's not possible. There will be some subjectivity, and there will definitely be inaccuracies in it. That is the reason why government didn't want to release it, because it will create more complications if the data is available to people. Even without data being available, they are creating so much problem. So if the data is also available to support their arguments, they can create hell. And these are the issues which as future administrators you will have to live with. We may have very good intentions, but intentions have to be supported by ground realities.
Sir, the problems created by people is only of the reservation, or is there any other?
No, it is not. What, can you repeat your question?
Sir, you said that if the data is released in public, there will be problems created due to its release. So the problem is due of reservation.
There will be more demand for reservation by certain categories based on socioeconomic criteria. Some categories who are presently not in the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, they may ask for including them. This type of issues can come. And to what extent politicians can go, you know very well, that they can interpret the same data in different ways.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, I think I'm
evening,
also tired, too tired to continue. So you'll have to excuse me. So we can meet again. If Raju ji, वापस आ गए क्या? राजू जी, संकल्प का कोई है?
Sir, excuse me.
Who is that? Okay, Gayatri, yes.
Sir, actually, just I want to know one thing, that these PPTs will be shared or not, because due to some reasons we are not able to attend classes.
You could not attend?
Class, so these PPTs would be shared or not? I just joined 5 minutes ago.
This is the first class on this topic. I not
Yes,
taken. I not
sir,
taken.
I'm asking about PPT, sir.
PPT I can share with you. I can share with all of you. But
Thank
there are other topics also which we have not discussed so far. So shall we share it after the next class?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
I'll share it with you because I don't want to hold on to any information with me. The ready reckoner is already, it will reach you. If it has not already reached, it will reach you maybe today or tomorrow. It will reach you, and it has plenty of all this data will be available because I don't think anything new has happened in December, except one particular case, that is the recent Supreme Court decision. What was it? A few days
The
back.
minority status of Aligarh Muslim University.
That I already discussed in the Red Reckoner. That is there already. And something
Sir,
which
maybe regarding the conservation.
Places of
Regarding
worship.
the conversion of SCSTs to other religion.
Can you repeat?
Places of worship.
Places of worship.
I think places of worship act.
Places of worship is the arguments are going on. It's not finally decided.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Now, in any case, please go through the next, before the next class, please go through the current affairs ready reckoner. You will be in a better position to discuss. Okay. But I want a more energetic discussion in this group. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
राजू जी बंद कर सकते हैं?
Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू सर।
सर मैं शैलेंद्र हूँ, बंद कर दे रहा हूँ सर।
अच्छा शैलेंद्र, ठीक है